Heroes. Greetings, fellow Watford supporters, wherever you may be across the world. Welcome all to this brand new edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here. I'm Omar, and I am ecstatic, as are you, fellow Watford supporters, after Watford 2, Oxford 1, a game Watford needed to win. They had to have this game going into the second international break. This is a fantastic Watford performance today. Listen, they weren't great in the first half, but they were good in the first half. And let me tell you something, as I reach down here to get a look at something that you have not seen any Watford side this season. 27 shots total, 10 on target. Anybody who wanted this manager run out on a rail has now got to reconsider. They really, really do. Because as I've said, and I said this after the Millwall game for the Watford supporters, give this manager a chance. If the results don't turn after that Millwall performance, then we will have a look at that. And I will get on board with those who are looking at the manager to be shoved out of here. And I might go that way. But I was not willing to do that. There were other Watford supporters who were not willing to kick this man out of the Vic after 6 games or after 8. And listen, you might not like the style of play. You might not think there's an identity, but I'm telling you, and I said this before on the You ORNS Watford FC podcast yesterday that I released, 2 of them I released, when I defended Paolo Pezzolano, this team has character. The character is showing in these lads. I've said it over and over again. I cited that to some of these fans who wanted him gone after the Millwall game. The character that they showed against Swansea, against Southampton, coming from behind twice, against Hull City last weekend. The manager made the tweaks. They won the game in the second half with 2 goals. And again today, character, going behind after 3 minutes from an own goal from Elaine. That was a rough one for him. And then what did they do? By the end of that same half, they scored 2 late goals. We don't score very late goals very often in games, but we did it today, and we did it in the same half. And we conceded once again early. But look what happened. Jeremy Ngakia, the star of the show today, the You ORNS Watford FC man of the match, of course, is Jeremy Ngakia. 2 goals from him, 1 from a corner kick. Absolutely fantastic. And within a space of about 4 minutes, he scored those 2 goals. And that was it. Watford held on, although Watford could have got more in the second half, but the attacking spirit was there. Come on now. Nobody now can complain about this manager. He's now got 3 unbeaten again. That's the second 3-game unbeaten run he's had. He had 3 games unbeaten previously. The games against QPR, against Swansea, against Southampton, 3 unbeaten there. Yes, he had the horrible 2 games in the middle. They lost by the same 1-0 score. And now they've gone another 3 games unbeaten. Come on, folks. It's time to give this man a chance. You might not like him. You might not love him. He might be Marmite to you. Give the man a chance. He has now got you 2 wins in the last 3 games. They've scored 2 goals in each of these last 3 games. They absolutely have shown you true character, which is what you want in a team. In fact, I would go with character first before I'm talking about identity, because character is a key part of your identity. And without character, you ain't got nothing. I don't care. You can have a style of play all you want. But if you don't have character and you have a style of play with no character and you're down 1-0 and you ain't got no character to come from behind, I don't care what kind of style of play you got as a football team. I said this in the You ORNS pre-match on YouTube. Character is a very important thing. It doesn't show up in the table. It is not showing up in the win column, the loss column, the draw column, or the points column, or the goals for or against. Character is an intangible, and you cannot deny it. The manager's given it to these guys. The manager, listen, they like playing for him. All right? They like playing for this manager that's been public. I have no reason to think that they're lying. Matty Pollock says they're all on board. Iran Kunda was good today. Petri came on. He was good today. Loser came on. He was good today. He made 3 changes, the manager, and it worked. Vata was terrific. Luka had a decent game. Kayembe came on late, was great. And Ngakia, the man of the match. And you had others who were really good with their contributions in defense. I thought it was solid today for the most part. I thought that Abankwah was good. I thought that Kevin was strong. He played that back three. Elaine recovered after the mishap, and I thought Mendy was very good, particularly Mendy, who won't get much praise here. I thought he was terrific as well. I thought the whole team put in a good shift today. So I've got no complaints about this manager. Listen, I was willing to give him a chance, and I said, take some time. We want, as Watford fans, to absolutely want everything now. I understand it because we had a remit for promotion, a great summer window. That was fair. I can understand why some of the fans want more, and I want more as well. But realistically speaking, it's been just 9 matches in charge. 9. It's a small sample size. You don't really look at the table right now, and I know Coventry's at top, but I'm sorry, 9 games in is nothing to get excited about, even if you're a Coventry fan. And 9 games in, well, for Sheffield United fans, another story. They gave up 5 today at home to that Coventry side. But the bottom line is that it's not necessarily how you start in football, it's how you finish. And what you're seeing now with this Watford side is evolution in the way they're picking up results. Right now, what I am worried about is the results. The strategy, the tactics are going to grow as this team gets used to this manager. The newer and younger players in this side get used to playing together on the pitch. 3 more changes today. It's working. It is working right now. You cannot deny that. You might not like it. Yes, I've had issues with it myself. It is unorthodox, but you cannot really be that upset. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats. And the draw and the defeats, they weren't getting blown away in. Each of them was a 1-0 match. And the problem in those 1-0 losses that they had was not the manager. It was the defending. 95th minute goal against Charlton. 9th minute goal or 10th minute goal against Millwall in the 10th minute of the game. And then the 1-0 defeat to Blackburn 2 minutes into the second half. Oh, a goal scored by them. All these goals were early or late. And they were all defensive lapses. That's not the manager. I don't care what formation he's put out. I've had problems with his formations. This is not the manager's fault. Was it the manager's fault that the own goal was scored today? So listen, for those Watford fans, and I'm not sure if it's anybody listening at the moment who have been jumping on this manager's back, give the man a chance. You go into the international break with a win that was absolutely crucial today. And on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us. Brown Electrons, come on, you odds. Well done there, Brown. Thank you for that. Dan, who had his message retracted, said, come on, you orns, as well. Philip Mason, usual poor first half, but definitely a vast improvement then onwards, says Philip Mason. And Ngake versus Harry Kane, says Philip Mason, with some laughing emojis. Brown Electron says, thought Vatter was trying to do too much to impress. And Brown continues on, made the wrong choices often today, but overall good performance. Brown, listen, I hear where you're coming from with Vatter. I think Vatter was raring to go today. He wants to stay in this side to start with. And for me, he holds his place. Were you upset, folks, about seeing Barr come off the bench in 87th minute? Yeah, still a little bit sad about that for him personally. I am. But listen, what the manager's doing right now is working. And if you want to have your say on X, by the way, you can make a comment and I will read out your comment and respond to it. Or if you want to get on the horn and have all of us hear you, including those on YouTube, please do get on the horn and say hello and give us your assessment of this game. Give your assessment of the manager if you wish and where you stand with the way the team is playing and all of that. So all of that is next. We'll be here for a little while before we say goodbye. Please continue to comment. I'm going to thank the Watford fans, fellow Watford fans who've come in today after Watford 2, Oxford United 1. Of course, when that 3rd minute goal came in, it was a here we go again moment, wasn't it? You know, I think for us, it's really, we have this issue where we concede early in games or late in games, and we don't really seem to kick off and get going until we've conceded. And the bottom line is my sign behind me on YouTube kind of falls off its hinges here, if you're watching on YouTube. But the bottom line is that Watford fell off the hinges after 3 minutes, but they didn't let up. The character of this side is a really important variable in why they've won these games. And yeah, maybe some people are still complaining about the style of play, but when you've got 27 shots with 10 on target, that's a manager with an attacking lineup, with a mentality and a discipline and a fight. They move the ball much quicker again today. I thought even better in the second half than they had in the first. But still, overall, in both halves, they had a lot of shots on target. They were very active. I don't think the first half was poor today. I know that was what was said. Philip Mason on YouTube. I don't think it was a poor first half. Watford absolutely scored 2 goals right at the end of the half. So I don't buy that one. Look, Philip, I respect your views, but this was not a poor first half from Watford as far as I can see. They were attacking all the way through. They never let up, really. There was a 10 to 15 minute period in that second half, around the 58th minute to the 68th minute or so, when Watford were flagging a bit. They needed a sub, and I called for that on X. Subs, please, manager. Subs, please. Right? But the manager responded literally a minute after I said that. Of course, he wasn't watching anything I had to say on X, but he had both Petri. He had a triple sub. He had Petri and another couple of players, Sissoko and company, and Kayembe ready to be subbed in, and it happened. He subbed them exactly where he should have done. That's exactly right, because I called for it a minute after. Boom, they came off the bench, all 3 of them. That triple change was needed. Of course, we won't forget this. Semedo out injured. He came off, looked like he was injured. That's not a good sign for us. But there is an international break. So the good news is that if there is any kind of real injury, and obviously there is to Semedo, that there'll be some time for him to recover from that. Obviously, the one other troubling thing I'd say is that Loser had to come out. He grabbed something in his leg. I forget which was left or right, but I saw him grab for something, and I went on X and said, watch out for that. Watch him in the next few minutes. And sure enough, he had to come off. And he looked pretty despondent when he had to come off, because I think he knew that he had tweaked something or pulled something. Now, we'll see about all of that stuff with Semedo and with Loser, the 2 men who were key to last weekend's win against Hull. That's 2 wins out of 2 at the Vic. I mean, come on now. Let's really look at this from 30,000 feet, because I like to do that as a Watford supporter. It's very easy for us to, as Watford supporters, look at this close up because it's happening right in front of us. But I think there is a need for us to pull back the lens a little bit, zoom out, look at this from a 30,000 foot view. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats. For a team that hasn't played a lot of football together in the Championship, some of them players have never played in the Championship before, right? They've got a new manager who's never managed in the Championship before, or in English football, period. The man has promotions in 3 or 4 different countries. Nice. But again, when you come to England, you've got to really show and prove. But the style of football, while it might be inarticulate at times, right now is yielding results. It's yielding results, whether you like him or not. So again, I'm going to stick with that. I stuck with that after Millwall when fans were calling in and complaining about him. And I understand why. Some of the fans don't like him. Some of the fans didn't like that Cleverly went. I don't either. But now the gaffer's here. Get behind him. Get behind him. He's got you 3 results this week, 3 in a week, unbeaten. A win against Hull, a draw against Portsmouth, and 2 goals today and a win against Oxford. And they had to come from behind in all 3 matches. That's character. You've got to look at that stuff. And I think some of the fans who want the man gone are not looking at the nuances of things, like character. Them things get you a long way. Because you can have tactics, you can have lineups, you can have starter play all you want. But if you don't have character, you ain't got nothing. And I'll tell you this, I'll say something for nothing. I would rather have character in a side identified and built from the start than only have the tactical stuff and only have the formations. Because sometimes you throw the formations and the tactics out the window in a game. Character is very important. If you want promotion, character is a key ingredient. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a style of play. You should. That would be nice. But character is a lot of the thing that gets you over the line in these games. And character right now is almost single-handedly getting this team wins and getting them over the line. Even if we're still complaining about the style of play that's not there or something else that's not there. Character is a really important, I'm going to repeat that, character is a really important ingredient. They showed it against Southampton. They showed it against Swansea. They showed it against Hull. They showed it against Portsmouth. They showed it against Oxford. How can anybody complain about this? They're picking up points. 3 defeats by 1-0. 27 shots today, 10 on target. How many times did we ever have that last season, even under the man that we love, Klebs? How many times do we have 27 shots in the game with 10 on target? We had 12 shots on target the other night at Portsmouth. I'm sorry, 12 total shots, 6 on target, something like that. That's good on an away side during the middle of a week. Nobody should be complaining right now about the manager. This is a good result today. Beat an Oxford side that looked pretty good early on, looked very dangerous in that first half, bombing forward. We always look very vulnerable. But the character of these lads is a really, really key reason why we got these 3 points. Jeremy Ngakia, that's going to do a world of good for his confidence. He started. The other Jeremy didn't. Ngakia was terrific today. Should have had a hat trick. He was brilliant. I mean, what's to complain about? The results are coming. Give the man a chance. And I said that you really can't assess a team like this until after 10 games or so. And you really can't start looking at the table until after 10 games. We just played the 9th game of our season, the 9th of our championship season. Let me read out some of your other comments, please. And also, if you want to have your say here on the You ORNS Watford FC post-match on X, please hit that request button. Would love to hear from you. I want to thank each and every Watford supporter coming in and listening in and giving your comments. I'll read out your comments on X. If you have any comments, I will be reading those out. So please leave them. I'll read them out and also respond to them. And for those of you on YouTube, keep commenting. Thank you for those comments coming in. I'm about to read those now. Great play by Watford today, says Billy Hughes. Billy, good to see you, man. Thanks very much for coming in and saying hello to us. Great play by Watford today, says Billy. Luca K should have started. Well, Billy, it's a good chance that he might start in 2 weeks' time, depending on what we see with Semedo, what the severity of the injury is. It might be a knock. It might be something else. He limped very heavily, did Semedo, when he came off in the 32nd minute, ironically, just that 32nd or 33rd minute, just 2 or 3 minutes before, of course, the Portsmouth game. In that game, 3 minutes later, in the 35th minute, we had Aaron Kunda sent off or subbed off. But Semedo will be very interesting to see how he does, Billy, in the international break. And if he can't go, I would agree. I think Luca probably will go to start the game. I thought Luca was effective today. He got into the thick of the action, really did some great build-up play. He also played on the wing a little bit. He did a bit of everything today. Luca was active, looked sharp, looked like he had a bit of an edge about him, had a chance to score. Luca was in there. I like Luca, and I think we should see Luca a bit more often anyway, Billy, so I can understand that. Slightly annoyed, says Billy, about Barr. I agree, says Billy. Yes, he does. Billy, thank you for that. Agreeing with the assessment that I made earlier about Barr. A bit ticked off to see Barr only coming in 87th minute. And you can see Barr, when he came on, looked really upset. No, I shouldn't say really. That's a little bit of an exaggeration by yours truly. He looked a little bit perplexed and a little bit disenchanted. He got into the thick of the action, though. Some good play by him. Had a nice shot that produced a good save out that Oxford goalkeeper. And this is one of the other first games that I can think of, a rare game this season, where we've really troubled the opposition goalkeeper. How many times have we complained about the lack or the inability of our team to challenge and really make the opposition goalkeeper work? Well, you can't complain about that today. Nobody can complain about that. We absolutely had 10 shots on target, a total of 27 shots. Come on, we made that goalkeeper work. Selvik didn't have much to do except for that period in the second half where he made a point-blank save, a great clearance off the line, I think, by a Banqua, was terrific in the game as well. Selvik was called into action maybe 2 or 3 times in the entire match. There was a moment in the match where Oxford should have equalized. Paqueta, who was a pain in the neck, I was glad that the subs were actually made for us because Paqueta was running us ragged for Oxford. Paqueta should have scored. He was one-on-one, and the goalkeeper came out, made himself big, and he put the ball past the goalkeeper and past the post. And I thought, wow, that was a let-off. And I went on X and said, warning signs for the Hornets, because Paqueta should have scored there. And that would have been 2-2. And we would have all had flashbacks to what happened the other night. But my goodness me, Watford worked for that victory. They were full credit for that victory, full value for it. They deserved to win the game. They didn't get lucky. They had a good first half. I just, and I respectfully disagree again with the comment that Philip made earlier. But again, that's how Philip saw it. And this is how I saw it. I thought Philip didn't think the first half was good. He thought it was poor or awful. I think the word was that he used. I won't go that far. I won't go that far at all. Usual poor first half of the words Philip used. But Philip, I respectfully disagree with that. And it's all right. You have your view, I have mine. That's how we see it, right? The team was much more active in this first half than they were in any first half since the QPR match. I mean, they were very active in this game throughout. They had a lot of ball movement. They created a lot of chances in front of goal in both halves. And off of set pieces, again, they didn't defend this set piece well against Oxford today. Obviously, look, it was a mistake that was made. A lane I suspect was trying to clear the ball into the seats at the Rookery, but he cleared the ball into the back of his own net. All the goals today scored by Watford players, and Elaine, to be fair, grew into the game and was undeterred by that. And that's what character is. That's what character is. And especially for a young team like this one, character is everything. It really, really is. I'm not saying that passage of play is not important in the style and the format. That stuff's all important. But character is an intangible that overrides, in my view, a lot of these other things that some of the fans who want him gone are complaining about. And they have a right to complain about those things. But I'm telling you, the intangibles character is something that is instilled by a manager into the team, instilled by the captain, instilled by the manager. Character. And Watford, the good side about this team, whatever you think about the manager, and Ryan, yes, the background board is wonky. I don't want to correct it right now, but I will at some point, but maybe not during this live. But thanks, Ryan. I mentioned this earlier. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see this. But every character is a thing that is key. And for a young side like this, character is everything. Because you really do have to have that nous about you in games where things aren't going right. And I think that's something about this manager that's really important. And the other thing about the manager that I think is really important, he's not afraid to admit when he gets things wrong. Again, that Blackburn game was a horror show. The manager came out straight away and said, what I did today was wrong. The selection was wrong. The preparation, whatever. He said all of it. And that shows you a manager who is actually self-aware enough to admit when he's wrong. I'm on board with the manager. I've been on board with him all season. I've had my doubts about some of the things he's done. I've had my disagreements, but I'm on board with him. And I was on board with him when they lost the game against Blackburn. I was on board with him, and I defended him basically, even after that horror show at Blackburn and Millwall, those two games. But again, I really hope that some of these fans, and some fans will never warm up to this manager. Fine, it happens, right? But I really do hope that the fans who really look at this carefully from a 30,000 foot view as Watford supporters, let's look at these games really game by game and see what's been happening and see who's been performing and see that the goals are coming from all kinds of places. Luz has got 2 goals. Ngaki has got 2 goals. Luke has got 2 goals. Iran Kunda's got 2 goals. I mean, come on. This manager's building something, and it takes time. It takes time. 14 or 15 new players in. It's not going to happen in 5 games. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. He's not going to get sacked in this international break. And I think he's going to be here. Here's my prediction. He'll make it to the end of the season, folks. This manager will be here for the entire season. Whether you like him or not. And he doesn't care whether you like him or not. He doesn't care whether the players like him or not, as we've seen in that Watford video. I'm not here to make friends, he said. Translated, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to improve your performance. Paraphrasing what he said. So, look, he's getting results. Get on board, right? You don't have to like him. Get on board with the manager, please. 3 unbeaten, going into the international break. 7 points out of a possible 9 in these last 3 games. Come on. That's what you want. Yes, would we love for our team not to concede in the 3rd minute? Of course we'd love for there to be a clean sheet. We've not had a clean sheet all season. That's down to defensive situations that need to be cleaned up and tidied up. But what I'm seeing is a really good performance today from Mendy. What I'm seeing is a good performance from Vata. What I'm seeing is a good performance from Ngakia. What I'm seeing is a good performance from Loser. What I'm seeing is a good performance from Iran Kunda. From the defensive line, Pollock was on the bench today. He didn't play. Okay. Cipriano didn't play. Cipriano was awful in the game. Let's be fair, because I know that some fans' favorites, Cipriano, Hector the Protector, some fans love him. Fine. He's been good, but he was awful. Let's be fair. He was awful against Portsmouth. That's why he was subbed off at halftime. Now, if only the manager had subbed off Iran Kunda at halftime, you wouldn't hear me griping about that after Wednesday's game. But I am proud of these lads for the character they've shown so far. And I think some of the fan base, will they have a right to call for him to go because they don't see the remit yet, and they want to look. They want better play. They don't understand the subs, and I don't sometimes either. But I think these fans have got to give the man a chance. You don't have to like him, but the bottom line is he's getting you results. And if you're not happy with the results of the last 3 games, what's the whole point of calling for him to go? Where is that? Where's that coming from? I've talked about Tom Cleverley. That's part of the issue, perhaps for some of these fans and all the rest of it. But listen, you cannot be upset with 7 points in 3 games in the space of a week. Each of these last 6 games have been down 1-0 in. They've gone 1-0 down in each of the last 6. They've come from behind in each of the last 3 games, all in the space of a week. All in the space of a week. Last Saturday, we were talking about a 2-1 win over Hull. Wednesday, a 2-2 draw. And again today, 2 goals in a half. They've done that for 3 straight games. 2 goals in the second half against Hull, 2 goals in the second half against Portsmouth, 2 goals in the space of 4 minutes of a first half against Oxford. Anyway, I think I've beaten that one to a pulp here now. Let me read the rest of your comments out on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on the YOU ORNS Watford FC post-match. Please subscribe to the YOU ORNS YouTube channel at YOU ORNS WFC. Please also subscribe to YOU ORNS on Substack. That's YOU ORNS WFC, the number 1.substack.com. That is something I would really appreciate. Videos coming up later on today, and I will be writing stuff today as well. There's a lot to get to on that as well. Philip Mason. Let me read out Brown first. Brown, Electrons. Yeah, Bar coming on for like 5 minutes is a bad decision. He needs more time. Yes, I agree. Philip Mason, no question. Bar has got to play more than 5 minutes in a game. I am going to keep my eye on that. We all, as Watford supporters, should keep our eye on that with Bar. God, do I really want to say in January they're going to ship him out on loan? I mean, I've just said it. But keep your eye on the situation with Barr. He's obviously not happy with the playing time. I don't blame him. But again, this is a team sport, not an individual sport. And all of us as fans have to remember that too, because it is bewildering with Barr. Again, I know that the manager says that he makes decisions on who starts based on what he sees in training. And if it's true that in training that Barr is not pulling his weight, Bar only knows, and only Bar and their manager and the team know why it is he's not starting until the 85th minute of the game or 87th minute. So you've got to look at that. We don't see the training sessions. The manager knows what's going on. We don't in terms of the training. We don't get to see the full training session. We see clips, but the full training session, the manager sees what's happening. So as far as I'm concerned, as much as I don't like Barr coming in the game 87th minute and 85th minute the other day at Portsmouth, there's obviously something that the manager is seeing that's not sitting well with him. And they've not been beaten in these last 3 games. Okay? You got to look at that. Barr looked really electric when he came on. You like that kind of ability. They're fighting for places. One of the reasons for this shuffle, and I was against it vociferously in a number of these games where he's making all these changes. And I do understand he wants to keep the squad fresh, but I really don't buy that one as an excuse. But one thing he is doing is keeping freshness for competition for places. And that's a good thing. And that's why you see that fighting like he is now to get a regular starting spot. You see Barr fighting like he did for the few minutes he was in the game today. So there's a method to the madness. There is a method to the madness here. And you've got to look at that as far as I'm concerned. I understand Brown. He doesn't, and I agree with you, Brown. He needs more time. Philip says, if we can play well in the first halves as well, then things will improve. Philip continues, the same problem that Klebs had. Yes, indeed. This has been a long-standing problem with these halves of play that are different, Philip. A long-standing problem at Watford. But Philip continues, still, where's the high press that Pesolano was known for? That is a really good point as well, Phil. Thank you, Philip Mason, for that. Yeah, the high press was not there today. And maybe, just maybe, he's tactically changing things for the case of a team like Oxford. Oxford are pretty big in some places on the pitch, and I think that they move the ball really, really quickly. So maybe the high press is not the best thing in those situations. And you didn't see any high press today. It was not really there in evidence against Portsmouth. It was there a bit more against Hull. Hull are an older team, so I can see why you'd use the high press against a team like Hull. They're older. They're a bit slower than Watford. They're a lot slower than Watford are. But in the last 2 games, against teams that are a bit younger and a little faster, the high press probably is not going to work as effectively. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the manager, although I do support him being here, and I am a supporter of him getting a chance. But Philip, that is still a very good point you make about the high press. It was in action. It was not in action today, and I think one of the reasons why is because Oxford are a little bit faster, a little bit younger. They do have some veteran players, but I do think it's because of the fact that the team is a bit faster, and having a press like that they can easily come out of really quickly is probably not a good use or investment of Watford's energy on the pitch. So I think that's part of it. Watford are very fit. Remember, there were some of the fans in our fan base who were concerned earlier in the season about, well, we don't look fit. And I said at the time, give it a chance. It usually takes 4 or 5 or 6 games before you see the lads really in match shape and match condition. And here we are. No one's complaining about match fitness now. I don't hear anybody saying anything about that. So look, a lot of this is about patience. A lot of it is about time. A lot of it is about just letting this manager do what he's doing right now, because he's not doing much wrong, except for bringing Barr on the pitch in the 87th minute. That's the only thing, right? Let me read out the rest of your comments. Ryan, hi Omar, good-ish result today. It's still a bit to work on, I think. Ryan, yeah, I understand that. I think it's a good result. I as opposed to what you said about goodish, but I understand what you're saying. There is still a bit to work on, and for me, the bit to work on is the defending. You've got to defend these set pieces better. Now, that's been a bugaboo for us for many a season. We gave up a goal off the throw-in from Portsmouth in the first goal in the 5th minute of the game on Wednesday. Today, we gave up a goal off the 3rd minute off of a corner. So our set piece defending has got to improve. It's not an individual thing. I'm not blaming Elaine alone for that. Look, he was trying to defend. He was trying to clear the ball out. It happens. It happens. This is going to happen 6 times a season, where you try to clear the ball, but you slice it accidentally either into the back of your net or off a crossbar or whatever. Elaine did the right. No, he didn't. The result was not right. But Elaine's attitude and approach was correct there. He was doing what a defender's taught to do, either head the ball out or clear the ball. He shanked the ball. That happens. It goes in. It's an accident. I'm not, so look, he had the right approach, but the wrong result. Right? So before people jump on Alain's back, he had the right approach as a defender. He attacked the ball, but he sliced it wide. He sliced it into the back of his own net. But the point is, we still have to defend these set pieces a lot better than we have. That's where I stand on that. Ryan, listen, there is a bit to work on still. For me, the shot making, look, we could have had 5 or 6 goals today. We had the 2, but we could have had 5 or 6. Our final shot, not quite good enough. But what I like about it, at least even if it's not quite good enough, is the attacking mindset. They went for it today. And there have been lots of games over the years at Watford where at home, especially at the Vic, we haven't gone for it. We haven't been passionate enough. We haven't been aggressive enough. We haven't been physical enough. We haven't demanded enough. We haven't been proactive enough. You can't say that today. That's why I disagreed with the comment earlier that Philip made about it being a poor first half. The attitude was absolutely right today in both halves. We learned to suffer in the second half for that 10, 15-minute period, and we kept going. At 2-1, we weren't satisfied. And that's what you want to see. 27 shots in a game, I don't think that's a bad shout. 10 shots on target, that's not bad at all, mate. That's more than good. That's a really good two halves of football. That's a good game. Aggressive, focused, attack-minded. That's what Pezzo likes. Move the ball quickly. They did that a lot of the time today. I was encouraged by Mendy played a key role in this game. I think Mendy's going to be overlooked. Team played well, especially the second half. They played well in both halves, I thought. Aggressive. Move the ball really fast, really quick. Just the final shot wasn't there. That's something they got to work on. But they had to go. You can't have said to me today after watching that for 95, 96 minutes, 97 minutes, that they didn't have a go. They had to go throughout the game. If you were at the Vic watching this game, you can't tell me that they didn't have a go. You can't come out that game unsatisfied or dissatisfied with the Watford effort. The character of the team was on display. I've said that a million times today. The attitude was right. They defended their positions. They did everything you could ask of them. They scored off a set piece. Ngakia, the man of the match. You've got now 5 different goal scorers on this team at least, right? Maybe 6. Vata got his goal the other day. Loser scored twice. He didn't get 3 straight games with goals. His bid for that came to an end today. Lucas got 2 goals. He's not scored since the QPR game, but look, 2 goals for Luca, 2 for Ngakia, 2 for Loser. Semedo's got his goal. Vata's got his goal. Sissoko, I think, has scored this season as well. Listen, we've got 2 goals in each of these last 3 games. How many times, when we were talking about how we've had an XG of 0.6 earlier in the season? The XG today had to be something like close to 3. XG the other day was 2.65. These lads are scoring goals now. Now, we need clean sheets. We've not had one of them yet, but that's going to come. Pollock didn't even play today. Didn't even play. Defending was still very good. Luca came in. I thought he was good. Defending was sharp. And Abankwa, Kevin came in back into the game after being out the last game. Bowler has not played these last few games now. Bowler was being ridden like a horse the first few games. Now Bowler ain't getting a look in. Not a look in. Not a look in. And they've now about unbeaten in 3. This is the second 3-game unbeaten streak we've had. We sandwiched 2 3-game unbeaten streaks. We sandwiched those 2 defeats in there. I see something building here, even though we don't see the template on the pitch about style of play. We have an idea of what that is. Move the ball quickly, move loser into advancing positions, play three at the back, get your wing backs bombing up the pitch, and have that nucleus of the midfield there with Mendy as the anchor. He can drop back. He can sometimes go forward, spring the play. You have sometimes Semedo when he's playing, dropping deeper. He played a key outlet ball to Vata for that first goal against Portsmouth. People don't look at those things. Things like that. Your striker, Semedo, on Wednesday night, dropping back deeper, then recovering the ball, putting a quick outlet ball over to Vata, who charged down the left side, crossed the ball in for Loser to score the equalizer against Portsmouth. Little things like that make a big, big difference in games. He's moving the personnel around. Petri's been very good in these games. Didn't start today, but came on, did his usual really good stuff. Caleb Wiley was very good today as well, I thought. I'm going to read out the rest of your comments on YouTube. If you want to have a say on X, we'll go on X for a few more minutes, and then we'll move to exclusively YouTube only to the top of the hour. But remember, I want you to subscribe to You ORNS, WFC, the number one.substack.com. My thoughts will be up there about all these games, about the manager. The podcast episodes, I've released 2 of them yesterday. The game after the podcast episode after the Hull game, which was recorded earlier last week, and then the one recorded after the game against Portsmouth, where I defend Paolo Pezzolano and give a load of reasons for that that you've got to listen to. So please, you can find the You ORNS podcast, the Watford podcast, the You ORNS podcast on either Apple or Spotify, both of those channels, and maybe a few others. So please make sure you listen to that. There'll be a new episode coming up tomorrow as well on my thoughts regarding Watford, some of the things I haven't even discussed here. So please listen to that and subscribe. Thank you so much for that. Let me read the rest of your comments on YouTube as well. Make sure to hit the like button, Ryan reminds us. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate that. That's so true, and I haven't talked about it a lot. Please hit the like button on YouTube. Please hit the like button on YouTube. Like all of the videos and like the live stream, even though you might not like the fact that the backboard today is wonky. It has fallen off its moorings, and I'll fix that for the next one in a couple of weeks' time, or before that, I should say. But please do hit the like button. Thank you very much, Ryan, for that. Brown Electron says, Selvik back to his best. Looked good today. Yeah, that's another player who came up big today. Selvik, second half. Solve it with Selvik. Absolutely right there. Thank you, Brown. I agree 110%. Selvik, who didn't have much to do in the first half. Yes, he picked the ball out the back of his net, but that was so early in the game. I knew when that ball went in early that Watford were going to provide some fight. We didn't know when and where and how and who, but you knew that 3 minutes is just extraordinarily early. Extraordinarily early. Again, last 2 games we've conceded in the first 5 minutes. That's something that needs to be cleaned up, as I've said before. But absolutely, Selvik made a really good save second half, point-blank range save. Remember that point-blank range save in the second half he made. He also made a couple other great stops as well. But it was the Oxford goalkeeper today who by far was the busier keeper, and that's the way we like it. Long may that continue, by the way. Philip Mason says, Pep says that he expects Elaine to challenge for starts at Man City next season. So recovering well from the own goal is character boosting. Philip, yes. If that is true about Pep and Elaine, all of these are very good experiences for him. And I agree with you, Philip, on this occasion. It is a big character boost. And again, the name of the game is character here. While we look, some of us, at the tactics and the style of play, you've got to look at the things that make for success. And character building is a critical component of that in each and every one of these players. I don't care how many tactics, style of play, whatever. Character is a foundation you must build from, and everything else flows from that. Because you can have a great style of play, great tactics, great formation, but if you go down 1-0, what are you made of in that moment? And no formation, no style of play, and no personnel really addresses that as much as the word character does. Character is an intangible. You don't see that on the pitch. You see it in the players. And if the players don't have the character, I don't care what formation and what style of play you got, you ain't got nothing. Now, I want to see a style of play like the next person. I want to see all those things, beginning to see parts of it. But the identity is not quite there yet. It's going to take time to build them things. But character is a thing that's got to come soon, real quick in these games, because they come thick and fast. There's 46 of these games, which is why, for me, calling for this manager to go after 6 games to me was premature. I said that on the podcast. Calling for him to go after 8 games for me, premature. You have to see this unfold. Give the man time. After 15 games, make an assessment then about whether you think he should really go. But for me, after 9 games, and I said this after 6 games, it's too small a sample size even now. I would say 15 games in, you got a better look at who this man is and what he's trying to do. But I see what he's building, and what he's building so far, if nothing else, is character. Come from behind wins against both Hull and Oxford in successive home matches in the space of a week. That's character building. You ain't see any identity. If you complain about that, fine. But they tell you what I see character, because it takes character to come from behind in both those games, giving up goals fairly early on, at least in the game today. The game against Hull, it was the 25th minute. To go down a goal and then to score twice like that, and to score twice in the space of 4 minutes in a first half injury time. I mean, okay, it's a win is a win. And right now, at the early part of the season, for me, it's about the results. The style of play will come. It's about the results. 3-3-3. 1-3, drawn 3, lost 3. I don't have any complaints about those first 9 games. They lost 3 of them games by the same 1-0 score. They didn't get blown out of the building. I don't see where the complaints are. It's not me having the Pesolano-colored glasses on. It's me taking an honest assessment at this team and looking at what the manager's doing and admitting that I've had problems with the manager and what he's doing sometimes, but seeing the intangible that some of the fans I don't think are given enough credit for to the manager. It's character. That goes a long way in sports. It goes a long way in life, period. You've got to give him credit for that. You might not like him. I'm not asking you to like the manager. I'm really not. But I am asking you to get on board with what he's trying to do, even though we may not see the fruits of that in real time yet. It is still just 9 games. 9 games. I think the man should be given a chance. That's all I'm saying. Let me read the rest of your comments now on YouTube. Thank you very much, Watford supporters, for joining here on this edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match live on X and simulcast live and streaming on YouTube at You ORNS WFC. There will be a 10-minute take coming up swiftly thereafter. I'm going to read out some more comments here on YouTube. Thank you for them. Please keep them coming in. Ryan says, Luton, our rivals, lost 2-0 against Stevenage in a local game there. I'm so thankful that Stevenage, of course, local in Hertfordshire, knocked off that lot up the road. Really love that in League One. Good job there by Stevenage. Thank you, Ryan, for that. 2-0 winners with Stevenage today against Luton, that lot up the road, who shall really not be named in the doggy kennel or whatever it is that they play in. I hope they've got enough toilet paper for that as far as that's oh dear, the backboard behind me be damned. I'll get that fixed, and you can see that if you want on You ORNS WFC on YouTube right now. And there are YouTubers continuing to comment, fellow Watford supporters everywhere. Thank you very much indeed for joining. A few more minutes before we say goodbye. Actually, we'll keep those on X who are listening as well. We'll all sign off at the same time today. It is the international break now for Watford. 2 weeks, but there'll be a lot to work on. There'll be some lads going off to international duty. My concern remains Vivaldo Semedo today, limping off in the 32nd minute or thereabouts. My concern also is Loser taken off in the second half. He looked like he tweaked something, and I said it again, as I said earlier, on X. I saw him grab at his leg, and he looked in discomfort, and then he came off, and he knew it, that things weren't good. He has talked, has Loser, a lot about how it was really difficult for him, and he was in a very bad place after the really horrific injury he had a few seasons ago here at Watford, and he was in a really bad place mental health wise. And I want to take this moment to remind you, for the Watford supporters, to take care of your mental health. I've actually taken some mental health breaks, actually, not because there's been anything wrong per se at all. It's because, there's a lot. I mean, these games come at you thick and fast, and it is good to take some time away. So you may have noticed that I had not done any pre-match on YouTube, and I hadn't done some of the Friday focuses because I want to take a break. Got a busy life, and you want to just take yourself a little, you want to pace yourself on this stuff, and it's important too. And if you've got a busy, active life like I do, because I don't just do stuff on YouTube with Watford, I do all kinds of stuff. Very busy life outside of the online world. And so, yeah, it's going to take some time for yourself. So this is a reminder for anybody, whether you do YouTube stuff or not, just in life in general, take a mental health break. Be good to yourself. Your mental health is really important. By the way, today is Mental Health Day, I think, in the United Kingdom, right? Watford posted this on X. So I think today is International Mental Health Day or something. But that's a good time to remind everybody to take a breather mentally. This world is crazy. A lot of things going on. Technology is fast paced. Take some time for yourself. Do things that build your mental health. Take a walk. If you can walk, get a walk. Get into nature. Seriously, this is not a joke. It's really helpful. Take a walk. Be outside in greenery. Be by the water. Take a swim. Whatever it is. Play some music. Create something. Draw something. Sketch something. Play music. As I said, go out to a concert. Do something that puts a smile on your face. Spend time with your spouse, your partner, your significant other. Do things that make you feel good. You need that. And mental health breaks are very important no matter what you do in life. So that's something I want to say to you now as I'm here, because I did that. You notice I didn't have some of those Friday focuses, a couple of them, or post matches with the 10-minute takes on one or two occasions in the last week or two. These games come thick and fast. So anyway, that's the one thing I want to say before saying goodbye. Please again subscribe, and I'll read the comments out in a moment. Subscribe to You ORNS on Substack, You ORNS WFC, the number one .substack.com, YouTube at You ORNS WFC, on X at You ORNS WFC, on Insta as well at You ORNS WFC, and the podcast You ORNS Watford FC podcast on Apple and Spotify. Let me read the rest of your comments here. Brown says XG for Ngaki was like 0.09, yet he scored 2 goals. Yeah, exactly. The XG for Ngaki, exactly. You might want to put a few more zeros ahead of that 9 after the decimal point there, Brown. I think Ngaki has only scored, one other time for us in his career, maybe 100+ games at Watford, whatever it is. But yeah, he scored twice. He doubled that output today, didn't he? Absolutely brilliant stuff from Ngakia. The man, the You ORNS Watford FC man of the match, clearly Jeremy Ngakia. There were a number of people who played well behind him. I thought Mendy was particularly good. I talked about all the others, but definitely the You ORNS Watford FC man of the match today is definitely Jeremy Ngakia. Put in a good shift as well on that right side. And before he switched over to left back, I think, or he got subbed off. I forget if he got subbed off or not. I know that Caleb Wiley got subbed off, and maybe but look, there's a lot of people that got subbed off. There were all 5 subs used again, I think, today for the second straight game, if I'm not mistaken. Ryan asked the question, why is Bowler not playing? Question mark. Why did Pollock not play today either? Question mark. I was surprised about that, actually. Now, I was too with Pollock. I'm wondering about Bowler as well. Bowler has been good when he's been on the pitch. Remember, Bowler had a lot of games where he was playing a lot of games at the beginning of the season. And I think what the manager really, truly is doing there is giving Bowler a break. Bowler's not played now in 3 consecutive games, at least. At this point, he didn't play against Hull, didn't play against Portsmouth, and obviously did not play today. I think he might not have played in the game before that as well, against against Millwall. I don't think he played there either. He might not have played in the last 4 or 5 games. I don't know if he even played against Blackburn. Might have done, might not have done. So it's been a while. I understand that, Ryan. It's a concern. But the manager keeps saying, well, I want to give these guys a rest. Well, you can't give them a, if that is the case, you cannot give them a rest to the point where they're stale. This is why I am not a big fan of leaving Bar on the bench so late like this. You've got to keep all these guys fresh. But again, if you're saying you want to rest players, a lot of these players are under the age of 26. I don't, this thing is a real issue for me. Come on, it's game number 9. It's not like they're Liverpool in the Champions League and they got a Champions League game today or on Wednesday night, and then they got a Sunday game, then a Champions League game Wednesday again. Come on, this ain't Liverpool where they have that, where they switch out 6 players. This is the Championship. And in some way, what you have to do is build up the endurance in the team. And I get it. You want to keep the whole squad fresh and lively. I understand that. And I defend that. But I don't get this idea of I want to give people a break. It's 9 games. Oh, come on. It's not 30 games or 25 games into a season where they've played all these games. Come on. It's 9 contests. So that's where I do differ with the manager. Come on. They're young lads. They're not all 39 years of age, like Hull City. I'm just being a little bit facetious there. Of course, come on. That's the thing I don't understand. That is something that irks me about the manager. But I'm on board largely with not everything, largely with what he's doing. But Ryan, your point is well made about Bowler. It wouldn't shock me if I saw Bowler come into the side again. But Caleb Wiley's been playing well. And what he's doing in these games now is starting Caleb and having Petrie on the right side, or starting Ngaki on the left and having Petrie on the right side. Today, he started Caleb Wiley on the left and had Ngaki on the right side. Where does Bowler come in there? They've been unbeaten the last 3 games. See, that's the other thing, Ryan. The thing is that you can't bring Bowler back into a side where you've got 3 games unbeaten and you're starting either Caleb or Ngaki on that left side and Petrie on the right. Where's Bowler coming in? Now, could he be subbed into a game? Ryan, I can hear that. If your point is that he should make an appearance somewhere, I'm with you. He should. But the manager's not playing his hand like that right now. He's not playing his hand in that way. And I was surprised that Pollock didn't play. And I guess again, it could be down. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe there's a precaution. No news that was the case. And maybe perhaps the reason why Pollock didn't get a run today is he wanted to keep with this so-called ethos of, I want to keep my players fresh. Or maybe he does. But still, I still don't agree with him benching Pollock. But they got the job done without him. And by the way, when Pollock was injured, they managed to get a win without him, right? It's not all that bad. I mean, I think maybe he did play against QPR. I don't remember. But it's not all bad. In some ways, Ryan, it's a good problem to have. I know that's a cliche in sports, that it's a good problem for a manager to have when we are saying, hey, why isn't this one playing? Hey, why isn't that one playing? Right? It's a good problem for a manager to have when you actually have players who are really talented and skilled footballers who are on the bench. It's a good problem to have. And when their number is called, they're going to have to perform. And I have no doubt, since they're professional footballers, that they will do just that. I've got no doubt about that, right? But the problem is right now is a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. Richard Lees. Hello, Richard. Richard on YouTube says the following: evening, Omar. An important win for us today. Did well coming back, going behind. Yes. Richard, I really appreciate your comment. As I've been saying, and perhaps before you made that comment earlier, character's the key here. And I think some of the fans who understandably in some situations want this manager gone for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier, some of those fans are overlooking, some of our fan base is overlooking the character element here. Character is what won you these games this last week. Character is what won you these last two games. I don't care what anybody tells me. Character is what won you these two games at the Vic. And character is what earned you a point at Portsmouth. They're a more dynamic team. They're a more hungry team. They got the goals after being down in each of these last three games. They've been down 1-0 in each of the last 6 games. Now, that would concern you because you don't want to keep seeing that happen. You've got to start defending in these games better from the start of the game. The great thing today is that we didn't give up any goals after the 3rd minute. We kept a clean sheet then, fellow Watford supporters, for the next 94 minutes plus. 93 minutes plus. It's not bad. That's basically a whole game with a clean sheet after the 3rd minute goal. Own goal, by the way. I think some of these fans will start to come on board if there are some clean sheets. If we start to get those, and there'll be a clean sheet here and there. It'll come. But again, right now, character is an important variable. And I'm more concerned about things like character and getting results than I am about a style of play at the moment. At the moment. Once we get past 10 games, which will be the next game in 3 weeks' time or 2 weeks' time, after that 10th game, then I might start to be asking the questions about style of play. But that's still going to take a few more games. And this is a work in progress. Sometimes this takes a whole season. Sometimes it does. We are all works in progress. Let's remind ourselves of that, right? Every single one of us listening and talking right now and listening, we're all works in progress. And that applies to football too. You never get everything clicking at once. It can take a whole season. Identity shifts, identity changes, formations change, injuries happen. I mean, the whole season is a work in progress. Now, of course, what we want is promotion, and the owner wants that. And so part of the reason some of the fans have been impatient is because with a glittering transfer window, and I'm not being sarcastic here, that we had in the summer, you want to see results and you want to see dividends pay off. But you got to give the man, I know it sounds like a broken vinyl record at the minute. You've got to give the man a chance. You know, since I said what I said after the Millwall match, when I said, give him till the next international break, and if the results don't improve, then I can understand if Gino makes a move. Since I've said that, I don't want to just big myself too much up here, but since I've said that, they've not lost a game. They've gone 3 unbeaten again. Mendy has been good for Watford, and the other Mendy was good as well in the defense on Wednesday night. He didn't play today. Who they left on the bench is astounding. I do agree with that from Ryan. Pollock on the bench, Bowler on the bench, Barr on the bench. He came off the bench late. And there were other players Cipriano, who again, he was poor against Portsmouth. And he's not found his way back in yet. I mean, the manager definitely you might think is a method. There's some method to the madness, and I think there is, but it's not entirely mad. I mean, some of the substitutions are, but come on, let's give this man a chance. You don't have to like him. You know, you don't have to shine his shoes or pay his electricity bill. But the man right now is getting you results, like him or not. He's getting results. Who can argue with a win today? Who can argue with that, really? Then if you're going to complain about this game as a Watford supporter, then I kind of doubt that you are a Watford supporter then, aren't I? I'm doubting you. So win. Going into the international break. That is the best possible outcome we could have hoped for today. 3 points, and I felt, and I said this in the You ORNS pre-match today, that they were going to get a win. I said either 1-0 or 2-1. And that's exactly what happened. They got a 2-1 victory today. Final comments I'll read out before saying goodbye now. I want to thank every Watford fan for joining, for listening live or listening later on. Truly appreciated. My name is Omar. Thank you very much indeed for joining. These are the comments. There was a phone in this week on Do Not Scratch Your Eyes, and some of the fellow Watford fans had some views that I disagree with. Says Ryan, but we all want Watford to do well. Absolutely, Ryan. We all want Watford to do well. We all want them to do well. We want the Golden Boys to do well. We want the Golden Girls to do well. The Golden Girls are flying. They have been brilliant here. Lest I jinx them, like God knows. Listen, they play Exeter City tomorrow. I probably just gone and jinxed them now, haven't I? They've been brilliant, Watford women. The Watford women have been flying off the shelf. They've been brilliant. Renee Hector's done an excellent job with them. Long may it continue. Knock on some wood here. Probably can't hear that, but I did knock on some wood. I should knock on this backboard here behind me because I need to repair that quickly. But yeah, we all want them to win. And as I said many times, Ryan, we will have our disagreements as Watford supporters. That's perfectly normal and fine, as long as we can disagree with a measure of respect for each other. I think that's all fine and all good. And I accept that people are going to disagree with my views, with your views, Ryan, with anybody's views in the chat or anybody listening on X. And that's all fine. And we should not be demonized for having a view on Watford. That I don't endorse and I do not approve of in any way, shape, or form. I don't agree with the fan. And I've said this, I have a very different view from the fans who've been calling for him to go. And I've had that view not just because of these last three. I had that view after the Millwall game. I had that view after the Blackburn game. And so I've been very consistent about this manager. I've also said I've had issues with him, which I have. But it takes time. And I know that patience is not the thing that happens for any fan base, especially ours, after all that we've gone through. It's understandable. But you're going to just have to be a bit more patient with him. Gino's not sacking him during this international break. I guarantee you that now. And I said that before this match was on today. I said that earlier today on the pre-match. Gino's not going to sack him. And I think he's going to stay here for the entire season. I really, really do. The entire season. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I think I'm going to be correct in the end. I predicted before last season began that Tom Cleverley would last the entire season. He did, even though I think a lot of us kept him here in the early part of the year this year when those statements were coming out about, well, he'll be here until for the Coventry game. And then, fans continued to petition him, the owner obviously relented, backed off, and kept him here the entire season. And I think the same thing's going to happen with Pezzo. I think he's going to be here for the entire season. I think he's going to be here the entire season. The players like him. They may not be lifting him and hoisting him in the air the way they did Tom Cleverley at a number of points last season. But I tell you this, they may be doing that if at the end of the season we're talking about being Premier League bound. You might just see that. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will. But the remit this season is promotion. That's part of the reason why you're seeing some of the fan base really not liking him very much so far. But again, in football, it's not really how you start. It's how you finish. Yes, we'd love to win 9 out of 9. We'd love to win 7 out of 9 to start with. But again, it's not really how you start in football. Of course, we'd love the best possible start. It's how you finish. And you're building something right now. And some of the fans have to see that the man is building something. You might not see what the heck it is he's building yet, but he's building something. He's building character. That's the something he's building so far. And it's yielding results. Iran Kunda played well. He could have pouted after what happened on Wednesday night. Could have pouted. He could have sat there and sulked and sulked. They had a conversation, according to the Watford Observer. They cleared the air. And he played well today, Iran Kunda. No ill effects. No lingering. No carryover from his pout. And he had a right to be upset the other night when he got subbed off. So, listen, the man's building character. They are together on the pitch. There's none of this finger pointing you're seeing that you saw several seasons ago, Josh King and João Pedro pointing fingers at each other on the pitch. Some of that can be a good thing, but some of it probably and often is a reflection of what's going on inside the dressing room. But these lads are playing together. I do believe Matty Pollock and them when they say that they like to play with Pezzolano. They like him. Hey, I can't complain about that. I can't be calling for him to be gone here. I not now, not after the Millwall game. and not after the rest, and not after these three results. I can't see it. And maybe am I really the one looking at through this with rose-colored glasses? I don't think I am. Also, flu season is coming up in November and December. Yeah, I think, Ryan, that was your comment in response perhaps to the mental health issues, the importance of taking care of your mental health. It's a very important thing, and societies across the world, particularly in the UK and here in the United States, are talking more and more about mental health. It's very, very important subject. It should not be laughed at or sneezed at. And if you do have, and I want to say this too, if you do have any challenges in life, please make sure that you do take care of your mental health. And I want to say this: tough times don't last, right? Tough people like you do. And I believe in that kind of thing. And I think that whatever walk of life you're in, you've got to keep that in mind. Keep fighting. Life can be very tough, right? So, yes, and it's flu season. Ryan, you're right. Get your flu shot, for God's sakes. Get your COVID shot, for that matter, as well. Get your flu shot, please, please, please. Flu season is basically starting. He's Ryan says November, December, but really this month too. Keep your eyes open for it. So flu season begins. Get your flu shots. I'll be getting mine. I normally get it earlier than I do, but a bit later this time around. But thank you, Ryan, for that reminder. Richard says, agree with you, Omar. I attend Guidepost, a charity which supports mental health. I also play five-a-side football in our mental health team as goalkeeper. Richard, thank you for that. Really appreciate that. I know, Richard, you made that comment a little earlier, and it just so happens I talked about mental health again. I looked down at the board here, and there is your comment. So that timing was great. Richard, thank you again for that reminder about mental health. It is no shame to talk about it. There are campaigns across the United Kingdom and I think beyond where there's something called "It's Okay Not to Be Okay," and I agree with that. I think it's important to take care of your mental health, especially when whatever walk of life you're in. And that's why didn't do a number of these post matches and pre matches on YouTube, because you got to keep yourself focused and sharp. Whether it's in your work life, whether it's in your everyday life, you've got to keep yourself sharp, focused, get enough sleep every night. Very important. Your diet is important, but getting enough sleep is very important for you. And that affects mental health as well. Getting outdoors makes a good impact and positive difference on your mental health. Exercising does, whether it's walking, swimming, running. Preferably walking or swimming is better than running because it's hard on your joints, even though I run. But but walking and swimming are really important for mental health. Playing football, all these things, walking in greenery and nature, if you're able to walk and move, doing stretching, all these yoga, meditation, mindfulness, these are all important things for your mental health. So thank you again, Richard, for that. And I'm glad that you do attend the Guidepost charity there, which is a supporter of mental health. We need to talk about it a lot more. Men, especially of any racial background, need to also talk about mental health more, because we don't, as men collectively, do enough of that. Women do that a lot more. They talk about mental health a lot more. Men do not. I think that's changing now in our societies across the world. And again, I think it's important every now and again to remind us, we get caught up in the football, we get passionate about the football and about the team we love and the club we love. But it's also important to step back, as I've said before, and take a 30,000-foot view and also take care of yourself. All right. We are a passionate fan base. We have a row, we have a shot, we have a go. We travel to these games all the time, all over the world. We travel. People come in, Watford supporters across the globe, fly in to watch these games. That takes a toll. You really need to be good to yourself. Expending all that energy, shouting and during the match. All of these things are good things, but you need to wind down from that and take care of your mental health. That is something that I really want to put forward in the strongest possible way. And thank you, Ryan, and to Richard and others who have pointed that out during this edition of the You ORNS Watford FC post-match. What is the weather like over the weekend? What's it looking like there in San Francisco, Omar? Well, the weather right now is very nice. It's nice and sunny out here now. The weather had been in the 70-degree Fahrenheit range yesterday. It had been even hotter than that a few days before. There's been some rain. We've had some light rain over the last couple of days, but the bottom earlier in the week, I should say. But we are absolutely now having a nice warming up trend. So the weekend's going to be nice and warm in the high 60s and the high 70s. So on the Fahrenheit level. So that's that. Ryan, your comment there. And Brown Electrons as well says, see you after the international break, Omar. Come on, you Orns. Thank you, Brown. And by the way, the You Orns Watford FC comment of the game is the one from Richard Lees. Agree with you, Omar. I attend Guidepost, a charity which supports mental health. I also play five-a-side football in our mental health team as the goalkeeper. Richard, you are the You Orns Watford FC fan commenter of this match and of this post-match. And Richard, good luck in goal there as well. Thank you very much indeed for that. Your reminder on mental health, as I've been talking about, and all of you who've talked about mental health, it's really important stuff. I want to thank each and every Watford supporter who's joined today. Those of you who've been on X as well listening, and those of you who listen later on X, thank you for doing so. My name is Omar. It's been a pleasure to have you aboard again, fellow Watford supporters. I appreciate your continued and abiding visits to this channel on YouTube at You Orns WFC. Please subscribe on Substack, YouOrnsWFC, the number one.substack.com, and of course on the Watford podcast, You Orns Watford FC podcast on Apple and Spotify. New editions of that has been posted yesterday. One more new one coming up after this Oxford match, the 2-1 win for Watford. And of course, on X at You Orns WFC, on Instagram at You Orns WFC, and of course, here again as a reminder on YouTube at You Orns WFC. Richard says, thank you so much, Omar. You're most welcome, Richard. And all of you listening, my name is Omar. Take care. The final score today from the Vic, Watford 2. I almost said Hull. Oxford 1. That was last week. 2 straight wins of the Vic. 7 points in 9 games in 9 days. 7 points out of 9, and 7 points in the last 3 matches, all in the space of 1 week. What's not to like about the manager? Nicely done. And that is it for now. And until the international break ends, take care. My name is Omar once again, saying, You Orns! Have a very good international break, everyone. Be well and be safe.